Today's Biblical Hebrew Grammar lecture addresses adverbial infinitives and the comparative use of mean. Let's begin by talking about the other point, reporting someone's age. There are several peculiarities in Hebrew about talking about how old you are. The most noticeable of these is that Hebrew says, I am a son or a daughter of however many years. Let's read number 1 and we can talk about other peculiarities. Ve'Avram ben chamesh shanim ve'shiv'im shana. And Abram was a son of 5 years and 70 year. Where here's the other peculiarity, 70 here is a tens digit, 10, 20, 30, 40, etc. And tens digits in Hebrew agree with a singular form of year. So this is 70 year, and that's especially strange because a units digit, 1 through 9, agree with a plural form of year. So 5 years and 70 year. The other peculiarity is that you have 2 occurrences of shana here. And usually, but not always, you'll have an occurrence of shana after each digit. And lastly, here we have the units digit before the tens digit. So 5 years and 70 year is 75 years. But the order of the digits is not fixed in Hebrew. There seems to be free variation because number 2, another occurrence of how old Abram is in the same narrative, you have the digits switched around. Ve'Avram ben shmonim shana ve'shesh shanim. And Abram was a son of 80 year and 6 years, where now we have the tens digit before the units digit. And like I said, it seems to be free variation. There doesn't seem to be an intentionality of which order the author uses in any given point in the narrative. So these are all the points about how to talk about how old you are. If you are a man, you say you're a ben of however many years. If you're a daughter, you are a bat of however many years. Usually you'll have an occurrence of shana after each digit, but not always. You can have the digits, the units digit before the tens digit or the tens digit before the units digit, whichever order you use. If you have the tens digit, it'll occur with a singular form of shana. The units digit occurs with a plural form of shana. Next, the adverbial infinitive. Most traditional grammars call this the infinitive absolute. I follow others in calling this the adverbial infinitive because I think it's a far more straightforward term. The adverbial infinitive, as opposed to the regular infinitive in Hebrew, modifies a verb. A regular infinitive is a verbal noun. That means it connotes an action like a verb, but syntactically it's a noun. The adverbial infinitive, on the other hand, modifies a verb. Like the regular infinitive, it just has one form, so it doesn't inflect for gender, number, or person. It's just one form, and they're really easy to spot because usually they have an a-o vowel pattern, and they occur immediately adjacent to a finite verbal form, usually before, and both of these forms share the same verbal root. So you see shin, mem, resh, shin, mem, resh. So this is the usual way that you will see an adverbial infinitive, and what it does is it adds a modal nuance to the verb as dictated by the context. In number 3, the nuance is of thoroughness. Shamor tishmeru et mitzvot Adonai. And you all, plural, shall carefully keep the commandments of Yahweh. Number 4 is another example. The nuance here is of doubt. Ha-maloch timloch alenu. Will you, singular, really reign over us? Which is what Joseph's brothers ask him after hearing the dream. Number 5, the last example, is of surety. Shov ashuv elecha, God tells Abram, I will surely return to you. So this is the regular use of the adverbial infinitive. It occurs usually right before a finite verb of the same root. It gives a modal nuance as dictated by the context. There's another common use of the adverbial infinitive that is quite different. It doesn't modify a verb, it actually takes the place of a verb, specifically an imperative form. Notice this. Shamor et kol ha-mitzvah. So you have an a-o vowel pattern. So it's an adverbial infinitive. Keep all of the commandment, where I have Deuteronomy 27:1 compared with 6:17 here, because these two sentences are very similar, right? Except this is an adverbial infinitive followed by a yiktol. This is just an adverbial infinitive, and it basically means the same thing. Keep. You do this. Keep all of the commandment. And finally, the comparative use of mean. Remember, Hebrew does not have comparative or superlative forms of the adjective. Gadol here can be translated big or great, whereas English can say great, greater, greatest. Hebrew just has one form, gadol, and it can take on the comparative or superlative sense based on context. That's all old material. The new point today is that Hebrew uses mean, preposition mean, where English uses than. So I'll read this. Gadol Adonai mi kol ha-Elohim. Great is Yahweh from all the gods, means Yahweh is greater than all the gods. And this probably sounds strange at first, that Hebrew uses mean in this way in comparative context. But if you think about it, than in English is really strange. It only occurs in comparative context, and it means something like in comparison to. So Yahweh is greater in comparison to all the gods. And that's the only context that than occurs in English. So it's this very specific function. English has a specific word for this very specific function, but Hebrew just recycles a preposition to do that specific function. So seeing mean can be a sign then that, this is a comparative adjective. Yahweh is greater than all the gods. Number 8, another occurrence of a comparative adjective where Hebrew uses mean, where English uses than. Vegam yesh goel karov mimeni, where here this is mean plus an attached pronoun, and what happens is that Hebrew doubles mem. So you have two occurrences of mem, and that's preposition mean, and then here's your attached pronoun. Okay, translation. And also, says Boaz, there is a redeemer close from me, means there's a redeemer closer than me. So you get mean here, where English uses than, with comparative adjectives. These next two examples show that you get mean in comparative contexts with verbs as well. Ve'yarom me agag malko. And He shall be high from Agag, his king, where his king is the subject, and this verb shall be high, shall be higher than Agag. Now this verb form, yarom, it's the same verb, ram yarum, but it's an O-type vowel, not a U-type vowel, because this is not it's not a yictal form, it's a jussive form, so it means shall be high. What's jussive? Something to look forward to in several lectures from now. So his king shall be higher than Agag, where you get the same comparative use of mean, but in a verbal context, not adjectival. And let's end with number 10. Same thing, comparative verb. Vaya'as Achav hara mikol asher lefanav. And Ahab did the evil from all who were before him, means Ahab did more evil than all before him. So Hebrew uses mean where English uses than in comparative contexts, whether that's an adjective or a verb.